Made.com is a company that sells designer furniture online directly from manufacturer to the consumers. So consumers can buy designer and high quality products with significant savings compared to the high street. Made.com has been up and running for a year and 2 months now, and the idea of selling designer furniture online came from originally a personal experience of buying some very expensive, exclusive piece of furniture myself. But then I realized that actually the very piece of sofa that I was trying to buy actually came from a friend of factory. Back from the town where I'm from in China. So the sofa was retailed at £3,000 and I was able to get it for about $300. So I was thrilled, obviously took the opportunity of buying that sofa, but then later on I figured out whether I can do something about it, of making this possibility to buy cheaper, however, the same type of quality furniture to other people and making a business out of it. So I started my first business in France based on the same idea. And after cashing out and exiting from the business, I brought this idea to the UK with my current co-founders and current investors. Today, what's happening in the retail industry is that when you buy a piece of furniture, you go through the shop, and then the shop buys from wholesaler, and the wholesaler buys from distributor, importer, and agents, and the agents buy from the factories. So there are about 3 to 5 what we call middlemen in between you and the factory. For us, what is crucial for Made.com is to enable consumers to buy direct from the factory, which factories are the essential piece of the value chain the consumer really needs. And all the other piece of the value chain, the importers, the agents, and the shops, we try to shortcut them and enable consumers to pay only what they really need. So Made.com has been started to enable consumers to buy high-end quality designer furniture directly from the consumer, the factories, without actually having to pay for the unnecessary cost. For the second time, it's obviously a lot easier because I had something to show for the investors, a track record, and also I think my first time when I started my business, I was about 24, so times change and I get a little bit more experience to show. So we spent about 3 months to raise the first round, and that's it. It's a much easier experience. But again, starting Made.com in a country that I haven't lived in was another challenge for me, but also for my co-founders, which are from France. So we had to learn the new challenge of starting a company, but also starting our own lives again in a new country. Money, it's been always around, but the good team with a good project is rare. So when you have a good team, which was our case, we've got a fantastic team. When we started to raise money, we had a great COO, we got a great CTO, and it's difficult to gather that kind of skill set before you raise money. And we were lucky enough that we had a great team before we raised money, and that makes things much easier. We knew each other before when I was running my previous business in France, but back to the time we were almost a little bit competitors. However, we were introduced by a mutual friend of us. So when I left my first business and I was a little bit traveling, Ben and I went into contact again, and at some point we decided to do business together with brand support and investment in the UK. Brent is a fantastic person to work with. He's as well as a mentor and a business partner. So the relationship between Brent and I is that Brent is the chairman of the company. Therefore, he he keeps the balance between the board members, but also challenged me as the executive to make sure the goals are always ambitious enough and the execution is, as world class as he requires to. We're all human, so we have different opinions on different matters, and we argue, we fight sometimes, and we are being very open about it. But I think the trust is the #1 factor. You have to trust on each other and respect each other's opinions. And the nice thing about when you disagree and you kind of trust each other is that when you have, sometimes you believe more in the business and your co-founders a bit less, and sometimes the other way around. But you always kind of balance your opinion and balance your enthusiasm against your doubt sometimes when you have co-founders. So I guess you have to communicate a lot between your co-founders to maintain that trust, and you have to really make an effort as well to trust people. I think the UK retail market, compared to what I know anyway in France, is much tougher market. The retail environment in the UK is relatively mature, but that said, a mature market usually it's actors are quite established, and therefore nothing really exciting or transforming are happening every year. So take our own industry, which is furniture. When you look at the furniture industry, nothing's been really happening, to my understanding, since IKEA. And IKEA that was 60 years old. So in our opinion, there's something really big to do in furniture, not just because the last innovation's been done 60 years ago. That's because the whole new set of technologies, internet, social media, and all kind of smartphones, all this kind of set of new technologies are things that are opportunities, but difficult to grab for people, existing players that are established and have a big team and lengthy process to make things happen. As a startup, a newcomer, we have a new fresh eyes to look into the industry, but we also have a very agile and small team to make things happen. I think what we're doing here is quite a challenging thing, to sell big ticket items that people usually need to see and touch and feel, like sofas. I think it's attracting customer online especially is not a granted exercise for us. However, the way we did it and we looked into it is that we really rely a lot on our existing customers to spread out the word, because you can do the most fancy advertising campaign you can imagine, but people still need to trust you that you sell good quality stuff. And the communication through your own customers is the best way to do it. So when you have, by miracle, your first customers, you try to exceed their expectation, and you try to turn them into your ambassadors with the brand and let them talk about your product and your brand rather than yourself. And we find that extremely helpful for growing the business, and as of today, we still have more than 2/3 of the customer coming through word of mouth. As of today and as a startup, we do not have the scale of having our own fleet of vehicles to deliver and trucks to deliver our customers. So we have to rely on third-party delivery companies. So we use a set of delivery companies that also other furniture retailers use. We find it not always as easy to control the level of service when you use third-party companies, and unfortunately, sometimes the perception of customers rely also on the delivery companies, of course, and we try to get very involved with our own delivery companies to make sure they deliver the same level of satisfaction we try to communicate with our customers. And this is definitely an ongoing process that we try to improve. There are a lot of challenges of being an entrepreneur. I think one of the challenges as an entrepreneur is sometimes you have to, one of your roles is about making decisions. And sometimes it is a little bit scary to take decisions, especially when you grow. At the very beginning, when you are a 2, 3, 5 people team, it's fine to make decisions and make mistakes. But as you grow, today we are 70 people, it becomes more implicating and more involving to make a decision. You are responsible not for the business, but also for 70 people's jobs. The company are growing very fast, but the business and the brand itself is still very fragile. So I guess the challenge of making the decision could be, as an entrepreneur, could be solved by really getting co-founders and really making sure that when you are unsure about something, you share and you debate. And when you have a couple of people on the table, you usually have a different opinion and you have surprises that, it's aspect of things that you haven't seen. And we are, on the other hand, we are also lucky enough to have a very useful board of directors and also investors that are all seasoned entrepreneurs in their previous life. So that's extremely useful because as entrepreneur and at different stage of the business, you are all facing similar challenges. And we have a board of fantastic directors like Brent Hoberman, Mark Simoncini, who's the founder of Meetic and Match.com, John Hunt, who was the founder of a Seattle coffee shop, and Obongo. So they were all entrepreneurs in their previous lives, and they are very extremely useful for the common challenge we are facing as an entrepreneur. The best piece of advice I've been given as an entrepreneur is, funny enough, is really to take more risk. So as we said previously, sometimes when you grow the business to a certain stage, you can become more risk averse because you're responsible and growing team and bigger stake. And as a startup and as a kind of entrepreneurial company, your asset is about the ability to move fast and the ability to take risk. So I guess at some point of my entrepreneurial life, I've been told that you have to reinvent yourself constantly to keep ahead of the curve and ahead of innovation, and that's the only way to survive. And I think that's been very useful. Had I not known that, I would be tempted to just keep on what we're doing, but that's the wrong way to do it.